Phillies moving forward.
Yeah, just and I didn't hear because I was speaking to you, Farzetta. He's not out as limited partner. David still got a little tiny piece. He was the president and CEO, and he left August 28th. It was announced he left on a leave of absence because he had cancer in the jawbone. He was already in his rehabilitation mode, and he was in work almost every day from May when he had the surgery. So all of a sudden now he's going to take a leave of absence, which at the time everybody thought, all right, let him kind of step aside and take care of what he's got to take care of. But then I found out they pushed him out. Not very happy about that. And it was a convenient reason to do so, just to change what the culture is. David is an extremely loyal person. And in sports, that's the problem, especially with players. You can be loyal to your employees that work in the ticket office and work in different areas. But David was also, and I can't say anything bad things about him personally because he's one of the nicest people you'd ever want to meet. But in that profession, he did too many things that he shouldn't have done. He was a micromanager. He had to make a final decision on every area, whether it was marketing, whether it was promotion, whatever it was. David always had to make that final decision, and he did it on personnel. It was David Montgomery he wanted to sign Jimmy Rollins, he wanted to sign Chase Utley, he wanted to sign Ryan Howard, and he wanted to sign Carlos Ruiz. And you can't do that in sports when you get old. And in Ryan Howard's case, it was 2 years before arbitration. So now the other part of that equation is the way that was set up when that team was sold in 1981. And Willie Carpenter was the owner. Bill Giles put together a limited partnership. And actually, it was Taft Broadcasting that had a big piece, but not the majority piece. And they ended up, they were Channel 29, ended up carrying the Phillies. But in that limited partnership, you have a managing general partner, which was Bill Giles, and now it was David Montgomery. And no partner can own majority unless you get unanimous approval from all the owners. When David was there, Bill Giles, who they're very close and very friendly, who was a part owner, would block the unanimous vote
to protect his
David. Yeah, to protect this guy. Now that David, according to my sources, is out, there's nothing to block anymore. John Middleton, his father, Herb, bought in at percentage, I think it was under 10%. He owned McIntosh Hotels, his father. And actually, John still owns that. And sold a cigar company for $2.9 billion. So he's got plenty of cash.
A little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. So when he came in, now he's bought, a lot of the owners have passed away, and the kids would like the money, and they don't really care about the team because a lot of them aren't here. So he's up to 48% now. Can't get over 50 unless he gets approval. But he's right there on the edge, and there are other partners that will sell him that. He's going to work hard, and that's his ambition. And I'm told, and he's already looked at people that he would like to have alongside him, that's going to happen. Now, with that, here's the trickle-down effect. John Middleton, David, really, everybody says, oh, they spent $180 million and not cheap. They didn't spend on the Cuban players.
No.
They were there for Felix Hernandez. They were there for Chapman. They were there for Cespedes, and they didn't want to spend. Now, you got to take a chance, but you got to spend, too.
Yeah.
They didn't really put enough money in the farm system. Again, that's people look at the salary cap number, but they forgot to look at the other things. John Middleton, who is a passionate guy, he's been in there pushing for a lot of things to happen. He's the one that drove that salary up to where it is by continuing to harp on it. He was the most passionate of the partners. He will spend what it takes. So the trickle-down effect is, I was told by another source that Ryan Howard won't be back.
That's good news.
Right.
And it's amazing that they'll eat $60 million.
Well, here's the thing. They'll trade him and take, pay as little as they have to pay, or as much as they have to pay, just to move. Now, the American League Adam Dunn is gone. So there's Adam Dunns all over the American League. That's what Ryan Howard is now. You don't want to see him in the field. He's a home run hitter, and that's all he's going to do. So John Middleton now will say, this is what we got to do. This is what we got to do. So somebody says, all right, you pay $5 million a year of his salary, and we'll take him.
They'll take that all day.
So the other team will take that all day.
So yesterday there was a report in the paper about Comcast. They said, look, is there nothing to that?
Zero. Comcast, they can get involved in the announcers. For instance, WIP, Eagles Radio. Merrill Reese, Mike Quick, and myself really have to be approved by the team, although we're all paid by WIP. And that's the way it works with the broadcasters. So Comcast thinking, well, we got a bad team, so let's change the broadcaster. It's going to make it better. It didn't make it any better, obviously. But they can get involved in those decisions. And they might have had a little bit to do with it. Not everything, but something to do with it was say, you can't have say on personnel.
But where's the story coming from? Where's it come from?
Here's the problem that exists in our world. Because of Philly.coms or the websites for all these newspapers, because the newspapers don't really sell papers. It's the website that tries to drive it. You got to have content. And I read the story. Unless I missed it, there was no sourced information there that it was Comcast. Did you read that story? Did I miss it?
I didn't read the whole thing.
I skimmed through it, so I didn't. But I didn't see any sourced information that Comcast told them they have to do this. And Brian Roberts would be the last guy to do that. The last guy, especially with David Montgomery and John Middleton, that are very good with each other. They're very good friends. So that was never going to happen. That is hocus pocus.
What do you think this means?
I like Bob Ford. I think he's a terrific writer, but there's nothing to that.
What do you think this means, big picture, for Ruben Amaro? Do you think they give him one more year to figure it out?
I think he gets one more year because, in the end, when you break it down, one of the things that put the Phillies in the position is they signed old players. And that wasn't Ruben. That was David Montgomery. So Pat Gillick knows that. And Pat Gillick, I'm sure, from what I hear, he will get another year to see what he can do. And the other thing, all right, Ruben made the mistake with Papelbon because Madsen's agent, that was Scott Boras.
The money was a mistake, but if you look at the results, he's been good. But I know how you feel about Papelbon. The money's stupid.
But he's a cancer to a team. But the reality of it, Ruben didn't work up the money. Ruben only gets those guys together. Another guy in the organization, Scott Profrak, is the one that works up the contract numbers. And that, he worked up Ryan Howard's. He's worked up, I'm pretty sure he's here for Ryan Howard, almost positive he was. And he worked up Jonathan Papelbon and anybody else. So that's not all Ruben.
How great will it be to have a smart baseball team? You see the St. Louis's, and I think Boston's a smart team. The Cubs, I think, are on the precipice of becoming.
The Cubs are going to be good.
It's sick how good they're going to be.
And here's the other trickle-down effect, because Pat Gillick's there, and he's not afraid to do things. Cole Hamels is clearly one of the best pitchers in baseball, most likely. But when the Phillies get good, and this is what I've also heard from a source, when they get good, Cole Hamels won't be the same. So there is clearly a thought, and they will investigate it, to trade Cole Hamels. If you can get maybe possibly 3 good young players, the Cubs are dying for him, and they've got some really good young players, and so is Boston. Now, John Lester's out there, so you see where John Lester goes, and then it could be the other team, because John Lester as the left-hander. So, and the Phillies are prepared to do that, because they know this team's going to be bad, whether you have Cole Hamels, as you saw, or you don't have Cole Hamels. So the trickle-down effect becomes now a baseball guy is going to have autonomy to make the baseball decisions. That will be Pat Gillick, and Ruben Amaro obviously will be part of that. But you couldn't do anything with David. When Pat Gillick was here, David had to be hands-off, and Pat Gillick wouldn't come unless that was the case. So there's all kinds of different things that are moving. There's so many moving parts because of this situation.
So we got about 2 minutes here, so I'll let you get out of here. But do you got any more on this tonight?
No. I mean, this is it. Now you just got to wait. The comment we got...
Well, how fast do you think this could become official?
You got to have a vote of the partners. Sure. Now, when that's going to take place. It could become official before next year. David's not going to be back, but the thing is, when does John Middleton go? And you got to get the vote, and you got to put those guys together. I think it could happen before next year, and I think the fans are going to have to settle. This team's going to be bad. Sure. They were going to be bad. But I think
people can tolerate it if they know that there's something good on the way.
Right.
If it would have been the same status quo and they're bad people, I mean, they were down to 68% capacity this year. It would have been down under 50 next year.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Cody Ashley is not going to play third base. Eventually, Miguel Franco will. Chase Utley, they want to put him at first, but they don't have a second baseman. So they want to try to figure those things out. So there's a lot of things that are going to happen. The team's going to be bad, but they're going to rebuild, and they're going to do it the right way. And I think
that's good.
That's good. That's really good news for the fans. As hard as it's going to be to watch for the next 2 to 3 years.
That's the king. Good stuff, Howard. Thank you.